Mr. Chairman and gentlemen, thank you for your testimony. I want to start by echoing the chairman's comments about the move that you took yesterday, Mr. Secretary. You know, I think as you and I talked about before the hearing, people have been talking about integrating the DOD and armed services or active duty systems on healthcare for, gosh, decades. So you took the step. Thank you. I'm sure it's not going to be without hiccups, but let's think you have the support of this committee to be behind you on that. A number of us actually serve on this committee and the Armed Services Committee, so we can kind of keep an eye on it from both ends. So thank you for that. And I also wanted to thank you and Dr. Yahia. I know you have, both of you put a lot of time in the issue of the tribal sharing agreements in Alaska. You know how important it is to our state, not just Alaska Native vets who have a tremendous record of patriotic military service, but to non-Native vets. So I know you're focused on that. I just want to thank you for providing that kind of top-level focus. I wanted to talk about a couple things, Mr. Secretary, that you and I saw when we took a trip out to Alaska together, some of which were Alaska-specific, some of which were national issues. Let me begin by, if you remember, we ran into a number of vets. Really, I think the first time you and I learned a lot out there on this issue of providers not being reimbursed quick enough by the VA, and then them turning to the young, 25-year-old soldier who just came back from Iraq, hitting them up with a big bill and a collection agency riding them. What are we doing to address that? That obviously was an issue we saw in Alaska, but I know it's a national issue, and how are we trying to address that? There's nothing more stressful than a young guy who gets approved to go to the VA, or woman, gets an appointment, gets a surgery, and next thing you know, he's got an $80,000 bill that some collection agency is after him and ruining his credit score. How are we trying to address that nationally?
Well, we did see that way too often, particularly early on in the choice program. With the extension, with the Choice Improvement Act, that is something that's actually now changed in law, that VA has taken over the responsibility of being the primary coordinator of benefits. That takes the veteran out of the middle. Part of what we've experienced with the Choice program is a different set of rules for when veterans get care in the community and a different set of rules when they get care in the community. So we confused veterans, we confused providers, we confused our own staff. We're moving towards a single set of rules for care in the community, and we're never going to put the veteran in the middle again like what we did. The one exception that I still am concerned about is emergency care. And as you know, there was a court case recently that required, it's called the Staub decision, that required VA to pay emergency medical care. And it's going to take us a year to write the regulations to do that. And so a veteran may find themselves in the position you're talking about there. That worries us a lot. But we're probably about 9 months away from fixing that problem. Good.
Senator Tester mentioned the issue of a lack of docs, particularly in big rural states like his and mine. We're close to introducing, I think with the support of the VA, the Serving Our Rural Veterans Act, which would establish pilot residency programs in big rural states. I should just call that the Shulkin bill because, to be honest, that was your idea when we were out in Alaska. So we would just want to get your commitment. I think you'll see bipartisan support here, but we want to kind of finalize that with the VA to make sure you guys are good to go with that one.
Well, one of the things we know, you don't have a medical school in Montana or one in Alaska. When you train physicians and they have a good experience where they train, particularly at VAs, they want to tend to stay there, and that's what we want. We want them to ultimately see a career in the federal government in this way, so we're very supportive of that.
Good, great. Let me ask a final issue. And you saw it when you were in Alaska, the choice program up there was a utter disaster, as it was in a lot of states. And you committed, and I think the VA's done a good job on it. We're not 100% there yet. An Alaska pilot program that was really focused on trying to fix some of these choice issues. How often do you receive updates now that you're the secretary on the performance of that pilot program, and how do you measure performance? And I'll offer that up to both of you.
Yeah, I'd rather have Dr. Yehey answer that.
Yeah, we stay in close contact with our colleagues in Alaska because really they're serving as a model of where we're going with care and with also with our new RFP proposal. It's how do you get care locally, more in the hands of that patient, their care team, and the local community providers. So I think they're having some issues with staffing that we're continuing to work through because of the great number of volume that they do of delivering care in the community. But for the most part, the experiences of the veterans has been excellent, and the timeliness of actually getting care into the community has improved from before. So we're happy with the progress that's being made there.
But you're continually monitoring it.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I have one final question I'll submit for the record, but it actually relates to the vacant and underutilized list of buildings where I think you had a VA building in Anchorage, Alaska that's actually very utilized and very important, and it was on the list. So we'll submit that for the record just to get clarity on that. It may have been a mistake on the
Could have
VA's
made a
part.
mistake there, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Sullivan. Senator